Hi, I'm Debbie Harada, and I want to thank Voice of Woman for asking me to share my story with you. I got into voice acting through hard work, opportunity, and grace. I came from a single-parent home, and there were challenges and there were blessings. The challenge was poverty, and the blessing was my mom. My mom wanted me to have every opportunity I could. She sent me to Queen of Angels School, where I was educated by nuns from Victoria, BC. So academics for my mind and spirituality for my soul. I worked super hard through high school, and I wanted to go to college. An admissions recruiter from Gonzaga University took an interest in me. I said, there's no way I can apply. We cannot afford it. And he said, well, just apply. I can help with the money maybe. So I got a full ride to Gonzaga. I was accepted, and a full ride with scholarship and financial aid. And that's where I fell in love with communications, and it was the biggest opportunity of my life going to that school. In my senior year of college then, they had the first ever internship program, and I got into that program. It was at the NBC affiliate KHQ in Spokane, Washington, and I worked in the promo department. 3 short weeks into this job, I was hired full-time, and I was doing my work of writing and producing, and I found I had inherited a problem from the person who left, and the all-male announcing staff refused to record any of my promos, the voiceover. So I went to my boss. I said, what am I supposed to do? He goes, well, you do it. I said, I don't know. He sent me to the program director, who sent me to an announcer. These are all men. The announcer taught me this about doing voiceover. We were in the studio. He said, I want you to think back to a time when you heard a story that you were really engaged in. Think of the person that told it to you. Think of how it made you feel. He said, got it? I said, got it. He said, now read the copy. So I read the copy. He said, really? That's all you need to know to do voiceover. If you stay in that lane, you'll do just fine. Well, the person that I thought about was my mom when she was telling me bedtime stories. So that is really and truly how I got into voiceover. Well, my best gig is always the last one I just did. It means I'm working and I'm booking and I'm making money. But you know, every booking has its own story. And the stories are what I love. I find the story in the copy, feel the resonance in my soul and then feeling of the words, and I tell the story. That is my real voice as a woman voice actor. But there was one really special moment in my career that I want to share with you. I was chosen to be the narrator of a film called Return of the River. I was cast as the voice of the Elwha River. So the story was told as though the river was telling you, and the river was a woman. And I was telling the story of what it was like to have 2 100-year-old dams removed from my flowing natural ways. What woman can't relate to that? It was a dream come true. I actually had played in that river as a little girl, and the producers didn't know that. So for me to get this booking, it was incredible. And in 2014, I won my very first Voice Arts Awards from the Society of Voice Arts and Sciences for outstanding film narration. I thought to myself, how did a little girl from Port Angeles, Washington, get to be standing on this stage with these amazing other actors receiving this award? Well, that was grace. I had opportunity, but it was all grace. And that was my really special shining moment. My worst gig is when I was 7 months pregnant with my son, and I had morning, noon, and night sickness, which means I was throwing up constantly. It was horrible. I got a call. I called in to a guy, a producer that I had a job with, and I said, I cannot come. I am throwing up. It's hot. Then I went off and I said, oh, he goes, you have to come in. I don't care. You have to. I said, well, the only way I'll come in then is because I'm going to bring my barf bucket, and you have to be prepared to have this happen, because it's going to happen. And that's what we did for 4 hours in a really tight, small, hot, unventilated room. Every 10 minutes going out, I would throw up, and then I'd come back in. That was my extremely worst gig ever. There's a huge amount of competition, but comedians coming in, yeah, they take some of the jobs from people just working voice actors like me. But really what's happening more in the competition area is there's more people, because technology has made it accessible. Now, you know, somebody that has a huge Instagram following, that has a good personality, they may get it over a celebrity. So things are moving and changing right now. But you know, there are so many opportunities. We don't really think about this competition. It's one job, and the job's for me. There's a lot of opportunity that just tones that competitive spirit down, where we can celebrate, well, you got that one. This one was for me. And I tell you honestly, anybody in the voice acting community knows that. I built my own studio in 2008 during the real estate crash here in the US, which was an incredible financial crisis. My husband's in commercial real estate, so we knew. I said, this is the worst time for me to be doing this, but I gotta build this for myself. I invested in myself. And I had a lot of experience from being in professional recording situations like radio stations and then at the NBC affiliate. So I knew what broadcast quality had to be. So I built it to those standards. And I'm so glad I did invest in myself and do it right, like industry right, because lo and behold, a pandemic crisis came in 2020. And the people, the women, the men and the women who had their home studios built to the highest standards were able to continue to work. So always invest in yourself so you can always continue to work, because you never know what's going to happen. Well, I really like telling true crime stories. It's one of my most favorite forms of in-show narration. You do have to develop an intimate relationship with the audience, and some of the subject matter is extremely disturbing. So I had to keep remembering that I was the storyteller and I was not in this situation, and be detached from some of the horrific things that had happened. But really, human nature is fascinating, and learning about what drives someone to the point of killing another human being is in a weird way, interesting. It's suspenseful storytelling. You know, I faced some difficulties, but I met them head on, because I was raised by a mom who was a single mom, the sole breadwinner for our family. 1950s, 1960s, 1970s. She had to stand up for herself every single day to provide for my brother and I. She was the best role model in the world. So when a difficulty came along, I just faced it as a challenge that I had to solve to get my work done, because I needed the work, I wanted the job, I wanted the opportunity. My mom gave me strong moral principles, and she had protected me from all kinds of difficulties. So I learned to protect myself. The aspect in all of my professional endeavors that I've enjoyed the most is the opportunity to communicate. I have found, and no matter what I'm doing, whether it's with a director and me as the voice talent, a customer purchasing a copier, a student looking for a school, that when we talk back and forth, we effectively communicate when we find meaning together. And that's deeply satisfying. You know, I really like both because both of them are telling stories. But with advertising and promo, you have to get a lot done in 30 to 60 seconds. And now, these days, I've actually done 15-second trailers. So that's a pretty short amount of time. In a cinematic adventure, which for me would be, I mean, you know, I have not been an animated character, but I have been, I do dubbing for foreign films. It's cinematic and there's more time to tell the story. And you can embellish the emotion in it. You can really express, and you have the time to express. So I like them both, but for very different reasons. Well, really, the biggest evolution that I have witnessed is technology. I mean, think back when I started in 1973. The only place that you could record a voiceover was at a TV or radio station or at a professional recording studio. Technology has made it that anybody can record anything, anywhere, with their phones, and who knows what's going to come next. You know, in the day, I would go in and to a station and I would walk in, they'd get my levels, I'd do my performance, I would leave, my agent would send me a check, and that was that. Now I have to own my own business, I have to maintain all my equipment, I have to have the skills of being a voice actor, an engineer, and a director, and I have to stay up to date with technology, which is constantly changing. So I do that. That technology has given access to so many people being able to do it. In terms of how a story is told, there are certain things that different generations experience together. And so the way that they interpret language and stories changes over the years. And as new generations come up, there's always new changes. So we have to learn how to adapt to that. And technology, frankly, really helps us to adapt to it quickly and effectively, and it's really the biggest change I've seen. Well, each of us have been given a really precious gift, our voice.